All right, we're back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing very well, man. We did it live last week. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, man. Can you believe it's January 3rd, 2025, the first Friday of the year? Crazy.
Yeah, it still hasn't hit me that we're in 2025. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, well, let's get right into the show. Existing home sales. What happened as we're going into the first week of the year? What are your thoughts?
It looks like existing home sales for the year of 2024 are going to come in at about 4.04 million, right? That is going to be lower than the year before. And if I'm right and rates stay higher than expected, I think we go lower than that in 2025. So, we're not talking crazy lower, but we could be at 3.8, 3.9, something like that. But again, depending on glass half full, glass half empty, one more hard year. And then we go on a 5, 6, 7 year run where every year is better. But we're in it. We're in that last hard year now. We know the number 4.04. It's interesting. National Association of Realtors may be a little biased, but they think we'll be up 5%. And I think it's more likely we're down 5%. But that is the range of expectations. For this is specifically existing home sales.
So let's talk about it. So they're predicting for 25, 5% would put us at
4.2-ish.
4.2, okay. And then you're thinking 5% less, which would put us at 3.9, 3.8?
8.5, something like that.
All right. But basically, just for the viewer, if you're a loan officer, if you're a realtor, if you're an escrow title, or just generally speaking, 25 is probably going to look and feel a lot like 24. Is that?
Yeah. The good news is if you had a decent 24, right? I don't know a lot of people that had good top line growth,
right?
But I actually know a lot of people that listened and tightened up the screws. They had a pretty good bottom line number.
Yep.
If you run the same operation in 25, you probably end up better. And then you dominate 26.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also say too, that there's a lot of people, somebody I know from the central California that basically was up like 30% top line in terms of transaction volume and income, revenue, all of it. So people are maximizing because at least they planned for it and they knew, okay, this is where I need to put my focus on. This is where the business is.
One of the things I think when we look back on 25 that will be true, and it's funny, I just told this to Convoy Home Loans, is, again, I think the group is going to be down, but I think the best of the best are going to do better.
Yeah.
I think the people that have been cranking and grinding and doing the right things, I think there's a good chance you're up 30%, in 25, just because you have less competition and the other folks that are like hanging on by their fingernails finally give up.
Right.
And that could happen. Yeah.
That definitely. Okay. This is separation season. I think that definitely should be a theme for the community. Let's talk about rates. What did you see with rates? What are your thoughts on rates as we go into the first week of the year?
Yeah. Rates started the year above 7. I'm on record saying they're going to average above 7. It's only been a few days of the year, but they're up. I think there's a lot of risk that the first half of the year sees rates go up more, right? The 10-year is threatening 4.7, which is they call it a resistance level. If it breaks that, 5 is coming quick. And, you throw a 5, 10-year, we're up at, 7.8, 7.8, 8% really, really quick. So, yeah, wow. I'm particularly nervous about the first 6 months.
Let's talk about the first 6 months. Is it just because of uncertainty in the economy? It's based on new administration, just a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty. And again, there's a lot of things that you could do via executive order, kind of day 1, day 2 activities. I think a lot of those could be seen as inflationary, at least in the short term. Maybe if you play it out over the presidency, they're net deflationary. But I think a lot of the things that may be day 1, day 2 activities are at least perceived as inflationary. And that will be a instant hit to rates.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we're going to keep our eye, folks. That's what we talk about every single week. And then Michael's breaking down on the daily financial news as well. Let's talk about weekly unemployment. What did you see this week? What were your thoughts going into the new year?
Yeah. So again, weekly unemployment's at drumbeat we've talked about for 52 weeks. Again, I'll go from memory. I think last week was 222, expected to be 218, came in at 211.
Wow.
Right. So again, we're at the trough of that baseline, no urgency, nothing, no elevator up yet. So just another week. Continuing claims, which is the thing we started talking about as being important last week because it hit a 3-year high at 1.91 million. Took a big drop to 1.84 million, which is it's a pretty big drop for a single week. So we're off that high level. But yeah, we should talk continuous claims at least in the short and medium term, the next month or two, maybe 3, just to make sure it doesn't break away. Like if it goes to 2 million, we got a growing problem. But again, last week, net, it went down to 1.84.
Just
million.
let me throw a sidebar at you. And we didn't talk about this pre-show notes. The whole thing, I see a lot of chatter about the immigration as it ties into unemployment. Is there any kind of, and again, not to get into the whole like deportation and what's really going to happen. I think it's more of a big headline, any thoughts on immigration or just the fact that does that play into unemployment or just your 2 cents on it?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that you can't argue. One of them is we have clearly seen a drop off in illegal immigration. Right. There are hundreds of thousands of less people trying to get into our country now than 6 months ago.
Okay.
So that is just flat out less supply, right? Less supply. So you have to make do with the openings with what you have. I don't think you can argue that. Even if it's 100,000 less people coming than were, that's less supply. The other thing is there will be, I don't think there's any question, some deportation. And I'm going to guess most of these people are getting employed somewhere in the system, and that work has to be done by someone. So again, is it the 40,000, criminals? It's a fart in the wind. Is it 400,000? Now you're talking. Is it 4 million? Now we're, that's some real stuff.
Interesting. So employment always something we're going to keep an eye on. It's
Supply
a big part of this.
It's a big part of it. Yeah.
Let's shift gears. Let's talk about, I think a very interesting, maybe even controversial, Reventure Consulting. What is it? And just what is your take this week about Reventure Consulting? Who is that guy? Who are they? And what is it? What's going on?
So Reventure Consulting, Nick, I'm going to say Greeley. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Has long been seen as the king of Crash Bros. He has a YouTube channel with nearly 600,000 subscribers. So he is 10 times bigger than One Rental at a Time. I believe if you go back and look at his channel, he made his bones by calling for a housing crash that, oh, by the way, never materialized. But that's how he grew. He just spoke with one of my contributors, Lance Lambert from Resi Club, and he gave his 2025 housing forecast. Reventure Consulting.
Yep.
The old king of Crash Bros.
Yep.
Is calling for a 0.91% increase in home prices in 2025.
Wow. So much for the crash, bro, huh?
Well, I think there's a couple of things with that.
Yeah.
One is it's clearly different than he has been putting out there, but I think people they should have some integrity.
Sure.
If he's calling for a 1% increase in national home prices, and again, I don't know what he's going to do. We just started 2025. But if he continues just to put out crap crash bro conversations, how do you tie that together? Right? But again, maybe what he'll do, and again, I haven't followed him forever because he's just so cringe, but maybe I will. Maybe now he's worth following. Because again, Ty, my forecast. My forecast is 1 or 2%. Dude, that is awful close to 0.91. right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's like, shit, Nick and I agree. What happened? Right?
Right.
I don't know
Right.
what's going on. Like, did somebody switch the matrix? Are we like, what is going on in the world? But
Right.
yeah, it'll be interesting because again, I think you could still create like Austin, Texas is going to crash.
Sure.
Miami, Florida is going to crash. But
Right.
you can't say the nation is going to crash when your call is up 1%.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, very interesting. And, I wonder too if it's just a lot of sizzle and a lot of headline and,
He's a genius.
Yeah.
He's a genius. He has
Yeah.
a YouTube channel of 600,000 loyal subscribers,
Yeah.
and they defend him like nobody's business. So good for
Yeah.
him. He's got a loyal community.
Very interesting. So continuing with the show, let's talk about, there was a shocking real estate stat. I want to hear about it. I didn't hear it on the daily, so I'm all ears. What's going on there, Michael?
Yeah, if I wanted to create the scariest headline in real estate right now, what I would be doing is I would be using a stat published by the National Association of Realtors, like the arbiter of truth. This is wild. 54.5% of all active listings have been on the market 60 days or greater.
Yep.
Just let that sit there for a minute. And think about what you could do with that headline. Stale inventory, frozen market, price drops coming, crash coming. Where in reality, there are two things that are both true. But the question is, what is true in your buy box? What is true in your market? Here are the two truths, and only you can decide this. One of the reasons we have nearly 55% of listings over 60 days is because we have non-motivated sellers.
Yep.
They have wish pricing. They signed a 6-month contract. They got a bunch of showings the first couple of months, but nothing since. And they have gone on with their life and they just forgot it was listed. They're not cutting prices. They're like, hey, if somebody shows up, I'll sell. Otherwise, we're staying put. In your buy box, there is a non-0% and a non-100% that somewhere in there between 0 and 100 makes up that portion.
Yep.
However, there's a second bucket. The second bucket are sellers who need to sell, whose motivation is going up day by day, week by week, month by month. You've probably seen one, probably 2 price drops. If you follow my channel, your job is to figure out in your buy box who's a 1 and who's a 2. Once you figure out who's in box number 2, write disrespectful offers. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Again, one of the examples that came to me this week, a guy found a 4-plex listed for $550. It'd been on the market a long time. He wrote a cash price at $350. Now, this was before New Year's. The seller said, interesting. Come talk to me after the 1st. Right? So again, folks, we are here. The average inventory is aged and or stale. Go figure out who needs to sell and who wants to sell. That's your job.
Spot on. So spot on. And speaking about needs to sell, speaking about, writing aggressive offers, if we look at that, let's talk about what is the opportunity for the viewer, for the listener in 2025. Let's unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah, the good news is the buyer's market's still playing out. The longer rates stay above 7%, the buyer's market's here. And it's going to suck for first-time home buyers. It's going to suck for a lot of people, but it's going to be amazing for real estate investors.
Yep.
We understand the cost of capital. We will only write great deals. I was just talking with Convoy Home Loans, and they have a guy that came in and did a big cash-out refi across his portfolio because he's like, hey, I can go get cost of capital at 7, and I'm going to go buy stuff 11 and 12. That's the right attitude.
Yep.
Right? Don't accept 6. If cost of capital is 7 and you're going to take a 6, what are you doing? You're silly. Just know that as the buyer, in a buyer's market, the buyer has the power. Now, most people don't know what that means because it's been a seller's market for 5 years.
Right.
Buyers make the deal. Buyers name the price. Stop writing at list price offers. Only write deals that make sense with your 7% cost of capital. Be aggressive. 9, 10, 11% cash on cash. Let's go get it.
It's the time. It's the time. Opportunity time. It's here. Speaking of opportunities, I think you've got some of the greatest value with your school community. Talk about school. What are you doing there? Kind of maybe unpack that. I know we talk about it from time to time.
Yeah.
What's going on?
The school community is really blowing up. I think people are taking 2025 serious. I think we've had 11 or 12 people sign up in the last 48 hours. The reason is the price point's stupid. $20 a month, but it boils down to 67 pennies a day. What are you going to get? You're going to get a community that's growing to almost 400 people, all going the same direction, the ability to network. We now have 6 masterminds that meet weekly. On Friday today at 8 a.m., we have the out-of-state investing group kicking off to start. And you've got 5 other masterminds from real estate agents. Ladies of ORAT, dude, ladies of ORAT are killing it. They actually met on Christmas Day. Can you believe that? Just rock stars. We have thousands of dollars in education. You gave something away. Jason Pritchard gave something away. I gave something away. All available at level 2 and level 3. There's just no better place to be. If you want to get into real estate, it's the place to be. To me, it's like Bigger Pockets 1.0 before it became all Hollywood and about books. It's just, hey, I'm interested. I want to share. I want to ask questions. I want to network. I want to get on the live streams. We do weekly live calls with different millionaires. It's stupid. It's 67 cents a day. Go join. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And I want to say, unlike other school communities where it's there specifically to bait and switch, and I say that respectfully, where a lot of the gurus, they've done a school community because they want to give you a little bit of a taste so that you'll buy the big package. That's not what Michael's doing. Michael is building a real community. And when he talks about level 2 and 3, it's not things that you're going to buy.
No.
It's things that by participating and by being active in the community, commenting, liking, sharing, that's how you get the level 3 access or the level 2 access. That's how you progress. Michael?
Yeah, no, again, I'm trying to build the best real estate community on the planet. That's been my goal. And we're well on our way. There's no upsell. I don't have anything extra. And you're absolutely right. Level 2 and level 3, I should be more clear. I think level 2 is available with like 5 interactions. It might be 10. It's introduce yourself, like and comment, and boom, level 2. Level 3, I think, is 25. It might be 50 interactions. But everybody who takes it serious, you could be at level 3 day 1. It's that easy. It's just a little gamification. I do it, let's be clear, because I want my community to stand out. And how I get ranked is the more community interactions is how I'm ranked. So forgive me for gamifying it just a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's continue. We've got an event coming up here in about 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
5 or 6 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, tell them about it. And it will sell out, and you will close the cart. We're not going to, don't tell them when you're closing the cart, but we will be closing the cart soon. Michael, tell them about Las Vegas.
Well, I don't even think you know this. I made the call. I had to make some budgetary calls about a week ago. It might have been 8 days ago.
Okay.
Right, because when you put on events, you got a lot of money that goes out. So originally we had planned to maximize the capacity of the room, which would have been 400. I made the executive call to take that down to 300 for a couple of reasons. One, it saved me $22,000. I have to, because when you do food, you got to prepay.
Yep.
Right. So I am doing 100 less lunches, 100 less dinners, 100 less lunches. Also, by going to 300, I do not have to rent 100 chairs. I don't have to rent all of these extra things because the facility is set up for 300. Everything over 300, I had to pay. Everything over 300, I had to pay. So at the end of the day, the extra 100 seats total were going to cost me $22,000, which I had to prepay. Given where ticket sales were, I wasn't convinced we would get there unless I marketed like a madman, which is not what I want to do. So I took it to 300, which is the exact number of last year. So it's going to be the same size, the same feel. I thought last year was amazing. So at this point, it's just going to sell out. I won't have to market it at all. I told people, I think yesterday, it might have been the day before, that we're down to 300 and we're selling 10, 11, 12 tickets a day. We could be sold out in 2 weeks. Because again, it's very different. Because I already had a couple hundred tickets sold before I made that change.
Yep.
The last 90 tickets, they could be sold out in a week.
Right.
So again, buy your tickets now because it will sell out for sure.
Go to Eventbrite right now. If you have any intention and interest, go to Eventbrite, buy your tickets now. Folks, this will sell out. It is unlike any other conference or event. It's not a pitch fest. There's nothing being sold. There's no upsell. We're not selling anything. It's literally the best of the best in the one rental at a time community, getting together, sharing, inspiring, encouraging each other. Michael, thank you for all that you do. Have a great weekend.
Happy New Year!
I love it. Happy New Year, everybody.